Welcome! Congratulations on joining us on our girls' road trip to happiness.
Yay! We have so much goodness in store for you. Annie and I have poured ourselves into this course for this very moment. For mamas just like you who are feeling overwhelmed by their daily responsibilities, sick of being in the same place in life year after year, tired of the thankless job of keeping everything running smoothly for everyone else. Motherhood is a marathon, not a sprint. For this exercise though, I'm going to use a slightly different analogy. We're going on a cross-country road trip.
Yes!
Not a quick trip down to Target for some kicky boots and 25 other items that weren't on your list.
First, we have to answer some important questions. Who's driving? Who is along for the ride? At the beginning of any road trip, you have to begin with the end in mind. You have to know where you want to go, right?
Right. If that isn't the biggest question, then I don't know what is. You aren't going to magically end up on the white sand beaches of Key West, Florida without a plan, a map, and the proper motivation. Without those things, you could easily end up in La Mesa, Texas. And trust me, you do not want to end up in La Mesa, Texas if your plan was to get to Key West. Sorry, La Mesa, you are not a pretty town. It's dry and desolate.
Knowing where you want to end up is the only way to get there. It is so critical that even in the midst of mommy fog, you must take the time to find out where you want to go. Who do you want to be at the end of this process? What do you want your new life to look like?
What is the life that you want to create from this mess? If having a destination in mind is key number one, knowing how to get there is definitely key number two. You could definitely get to Key West, Florida without a map, but you could just wing it and just head in that general direction. But it's going to take you twice as long, and by the time you get there, you're going to be frustrated and worn out. So it's the same in life. Even if you know where you want to go, it's 1,000% easier to get there if you have a map. And Annie and I are going to be your roadmap for this trip, helping you get where you want to go and avoiding those desolate places like La Mesa, Texas.
The next important question is who is driving your bus? There are lots and lots of mamas out there that are not driving their own bus.
Right.
They're curled up in the fetal position in the back while the bus is on autopilot, or they've given the control over to someone else.
Right. So who's driving your bus? Is it your spouse? Is it your guilt? Is it perfectionism or the you ought to police? I know one thing is for sure. Anger and bitterness cannot be in the driver's seat. Anger and bitterness will take you where you don't want to go. So give them a juice box, some goldfish, and put them in the back seat. Now that we've got the seat assignments, now it's time to determine who is in the driver's seat. And your butt had better be in that driver's seat.
If you want to end up in beautiful Key West, you cannot simply be a passenger. Besides, the driver has the best view. They get to pick the music and set the AC temperature.
Right. So, okay, mamas, time to get started. Let's dive into Module 1, Lesson 1, now that we are pumped up and ready to take the wheel.